A little late, guys. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Hyde Park Town Board. Please join me while we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, may I go ahead and have a motion to accept the minutes of September 28th?
Make a motion?
And a second?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the first item on our agenda is we are the proud recipients of a donation from the Quadricentennial Committee. And I see we have a number of the people who worked on this, and we'd like to have you invite you up to the podium, and you can just tell us a little bit about how this developed and the gift that you're presenting to us tonight. And we have Roberta Brody, who chaired the committee, I believe. So would you like to come up to the podium, Roberta?
Thank you, Supervisor Rohr and town board members, for inviting us to come this evening. In 2009, I was asked by Kathleen Davis of the Town Recreation Department to chair a committee that would design and create a quilt to commemorate the discovery by Henry Hudson of our beautiful river. I put out the word to those who might be interested, as well as to our wonderful Hyde Park Library quilters. Each person decided on what she would like to do, whether it be a block depicting an historical place in Hyde Park, or things relating to Henry Hudson's exploration of the river on behalf of the Dutch East India Company, such as the Mariner's Compass, tulips. The quilt was designed by John Skibrand, Megan Vidershave, and myself, and John also quilted it. We named our quilt Hyde Park Celebrates the Hudson River. It is our gift to the town of Hyde Park, and thank you for providing a home for it so everyone will be able to see it. I want to thank all the people involved in the making of the quilt, and I will ask those who are here to stand when your name is called. John Skibrand, Megan Vidershave, Gwen Ziska, Marilyn Greco, Shirley Lucas, Barbara Gavin, Barbara Pierce, Mary Ellen Condesar, Carol Hurleys, Dorothy Kraft, Maureen Monks, Margie Spratt, Gina Gleason, Rita Hilliard, and myself. And I want to thank them. They were a wonderful, creative, cooperative group of women, and John, who helped us a great deal. And thank you to you for providing us with a home for it, where everyone can see it.
We'd like to thank you. Can we get a round of applause for it really is spectacular and beautiful, and such a nice community event it must have been. So did you get together to do the quilting, or did you do that in...
We did some together, some at home by ourselves, and it was just nice to see the creativity and what people chose to do.
Yeah.
And
I believe I saw it in the library at one point.
yes, it was hanging in the library a couple of times. It was
yeah.
hanging in the library,
Yeah.
and then it was in Mary Ellen's closet, and it was in my closet, and I thought it would be very nice to have it shown here.
It really is beautiful, and we really
yes.
feel honored, and thank you so much for doing it. Yeah.
We feel good about it being here, and we hope that the people of Hyde Park will come into Town Hall, into this lovely room that you've had repainted, and it looks so nice.
And we were talking a little bit a few days back. It would be nice to kind of get a plexiglass cover for it that we could, so it would be protected from people handling. It does have that tactile invitation.
It does. One of your board members already. I'm not going to say who he was, but
it, did he?
I touched it.
Fourth ward.
Sorry.
Oh, he touched it, did he?
I will have.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me he volunteered to.
No, I volunteered to touch it first and got yelled at.
I'll make sure that a sign is put up there, please do not touch.
Yeah,
But of
yeah,
course,
'cause-
it doesn't prevent people from touching it, and it is large, so I know we had talked about having the desk in front of it, but it
The
is large,
protection, but
so I don't know
It
that
didn't quite
we-
work out with
Yeah.
how we would locate it if we put the desk
Right.
in front of it. There just wasn't a good spot for it, so.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why we've kind of moved on, thinking perhaps we can get some plexiglass to.
Well, we
make
have
over
to
it.
be careful about that, too, because humidity can build up
Right.
Okay.
behind
Well, I
that.
think it wouldn't be entirely encased in it, more
Okay.
just like as a protective.
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. That'd
be a
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah,
All right.
that's- yeah.
If you don't mind, I would love to get a picture of all you
Yeah.
ladies with the
That would be
supervisor,
nice.
and we would love to put it on our Facebook page if you
All
don't
right.
mind.
Okay, yeah, let's.
All right.
Get up
Sure,
there,
yeah, yeah.
supervisor, and we'll take a picture.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you once again. We really appreciate it. So all you've done for that.
I didn't know where we got going. It's controversial.
Oh, no, tonight's for open target.
Green tea business.
Oh, maybe
That's
that's
the
it.
only. How are they gonna get everybody in? You know, is the tablet get everybody in there? I should get a tablet.
That's nice of you to say.
You gotta get them all in.
All right, everybody look at this iPad here, and smile.
They can
Perfect.
come
I'll
up.
say it with my phone, so we can get it up on our Facebook page.
You can't send a pad to the,
Perfect, we got it. Thank you so much.
you gotta be able to send the pad.
Oh, it's there, it's there, I think.
Alrighty. That's why. You could email it to you.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the presentation of the 2016 preliminary budget. And I have a budget message that I'd like to read that accompanies that. And I can actually pass a copy to everyone in case you want to read it tonight before you go to sleep. Or while you're looking it over. Sorry.
Get our orders.
Okay, so the initial proposed budget, the tentative budget, is being presented tonight with a 2.6% tax levy increase. The comptroller and his staff and I have spent many hours in the preparation of the budget. Meeting with department heads and reviewing 2015 expense reports was the initial first step to gain the knowledge and understanding needed to move on to the second step, which is to make educated and realistic projections for the balancing of the two components that make up all budgets, revenue and expenditures. In the 2016 tentative budget, the tax rate will increase 20 cents per thousand, which means the average single-family home assessed at $120,000 will have a tax increase of $24. Town budgets are broken into two main components, aside from the special districts, which are technically not part of a town budget: the general fund and the highway fund. Each fund has a revenue and expenditure component. So here's just some highlights, and I know that you'll all be going through these, but the budget with the fine-tooth comb, but I just thought I'd hit on the important points. The net total spending is the same as last year for the general fund. We have reduced contractual expenditures and equipment costs to offset the increase of approximately $110,000 in employee compensation to keep total spending at $6 million. The general fund utilizes $71,000 in fund balance to defray the tax increase. We have decreased the budgets of several government units involved in the association, are involved and associated with the management of the water and sewer districts for a total of about $50,000 to offset the $50,000 loss in revenue generated by the district. So, everyone knows that we've transferred 4, we're working on the other 3, and those revenues went into the general fund to compensate for the time that was involved in that management. So, of course, we removed that. So in the highway fund, the budget of $110,000 increase in expenditures due to increase in employee wage rates based on collective bargaining. The salt purchases and the snow removal continue to drive the highway budget. We've finally gotten the Cirrus Salt reduction software installed on our snow plows. There was projections when we applied for the shared service grant that it would reduce salt consumption by 1/3, which we are hopeful that will happen. So far in 2015, approximately $400,000 has been spent on salt. And that required us to use an additional $90,000 from the snow reserve for 2015. And in this budget, we have, again, assigned $90,000 to restore that fund. At the end of 2015, we are projecting there to be very little in the highway unrestricted fund balance. Of course, we do have these restricted fund balances that our comptroller developed, which offers some protections into the future, but we are not looking at a very strong unrestricted fund balance. So we continue to struggle with the loss of revenue from sales tax, as well as depressed mortgage tax revenue, though we have some encouraging projects on the horizon that we look forward to them expanding our tax base. We continue to invest in infrastructure through grants where there is no or very little charge back to the community. And we continually ask our employees and department heads to do more with less. The tentative budget is cut to the quick, with few places to reduce costs and still provide a responsible revenue stream to maintain essential services, which is, of course, our job. So Donna, the town clerk, will present the tentative budget to everyone and look forward to you reviewing them carefully. And we have some special meetings that we'll be scheduling to kind of go over them. So for tonight, really, it's just the presentation of the budget, and thank you. And look forward to input to people to really reviewing them carefully. And we have a couple of work sessions scheduled, and we'll take it up from there. I also have at TC, the comptroller was here till about 6:30, and then he called and just said he's really not feeling well. So he went home, which I encouraged him to do, but he asked me to give everyone the budget summary that he intended to give to you tonight. Okay, so with that, I think we'll just keep moving, and we'll be doing a lot more discussions on this at our next few meetings, okay? All righty.
Terrific.
Should we make the changes to the agenda?
Sure, yep, that should be probably the next issue, so that people can take a look at them if they need to. So we have a bunch of changes. We have 3 resolutions that we're going to add, and that's number 6, number 7, and number 8. And so 6 is a resolution authorizing the attorney to the town to execute consent judgments for Creek Park and Portaspace, Inc. tax cert proceedings. So may I have a motion?
Make a motion.
And a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
The number 7 is authorizing the zoning administrator to carry over accrued vacation time.
Motion?
And a second.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And the last is resolution adopting a local law to override the tax levy limit for fiscal year 2016 pursuant to general municipal law as local law number 3 of the year 2015.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have a public hearing? No, we did the public hearing already, town clerks. Okay, so we have a public comment on, that's right, I wasn't here last week. That's when you had your public hearings.
Yeah.
So I was at the county. Okay, so, so are we all good with those? The ones that we need to add, but there's also a couple of minor revisions to resolutions. Let me just find out where those are. Okay, so number 2, we are going to add resolution authorizing the town clerk to solicit bids for the 2016 highway materials and services. So we would be adding and services.
Wait, which number is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, resolution 5.
Aye.
Okay,
Sorry,
So-
say that again, please?
so we added "and services" because the highway super had requested that we put these items out to bid as highway materials, but just to be totally accurate, 2 of them are services, not materials. That's number 7 and number 8.
The one that we have here says and services.
Yes, yeah, but, right, but the one that was published did not.
Okay.
And then one more was number 2, which, okay, it's also quite a minor revision, but, so it's the resolution to authorize the town comptroller to solicit proposals for the purchase of replacement cameras for televising channel 22. And instead of town comptroller, it should be the media committee. So that would be in the caption of the resolution as well as in the last paragraph.
Okay.
And so can I have a motion to make those 2 changes to the resolutions?
Media committee.
Okay.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, Donna.
And we needed to correct that date that we got wrong the last time, right?
Okay, thank you for reminding me. So at our last meeting, Deputy Supervisor Svensson reviewed where we, that's a mouthful. Can I just say Emily?
Actually, I think Hannah read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we had
And
some
it
wrong
ca-
information in there.
Right, so we have been going through this process of distributing to the original members of the Harvard Hills Water District, not the original, but those members who were part of the district in 2002. We are distributing the remaining funds that were left here within the discharge of the town hall. So we'd like to get those checks out, and I believe the information that we had in the resolution stated October 21st or something, but we'd like to have that resolved by October 13th. So I'd like just the public to know that the list of the property owners is on the website, and they can go and take a look. Anyone who's in the Harvard Hills District and thinks that they might have been part of the district during the year of 2002 when it was transferred, please go to the website and check to see if your name is on it. And if not, if there's any complications or anything you'd like to inform us about, please let us know ASAP, especially by October 13th when we plan to finalize this list and get the checks rebated to the people that are due those funds. Okay? Is that it? Okay. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the, just a very brief discussion on the GREENTREE Business District. And it's just, this is extremely preliminary discussion, but it's been something that has been floating around a little bit out there. And it's basically most of our neighborhoods have a neighborhood business district associated with it. And Greentree actually has one that looks like a business district, but in the zoning that was passed, the zoning that we currently have, it's not identified as a neighborhood business district. And so it seems like something that we could begin the exploration of. Would that make sense to make that revision to the zoning code? I mean, it does seem somewhat, it seems consistent with our comprehensive plan.
Of creating one, or?
Well, that neighborhoods have business districts associated with them, and I don't know how many homes are in Greentree, but it's.
Well, between Greentree and Dutchess Estates, there are quite a few, and when you think about where the old police station used to be, and then, down through the Greentree intersection and a little further south, there's a small plaza, so there's kind of a small business,
Yeah.
assortment of business-type properties in that area that are not zoned for business, so it was, just something to think about for the future, that we have this zone called Neighborhood Business District, and there are a lot of them throughout town, and we could establish one there also, potentially.
So that was just, and we don't have a lot more details on that, but it's just, it seems like a preliminary discussion that, if people have feedback on, we'd like to hear from them, and we can take it up at a later date when we have more time to dedicate to the details of that. But, so that was just something, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that or comments or.
I've often heard that people would love to see the former police station reused in some way. And,
Well, it's right now that is zoned Greenbelt, is that right? And so there are some possibilities within the Greenbelt designation, but very few. So that's kind of what we were thinking. So that was one item on the workshop agenda. And then another is our NYSERDA grant.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, I would like that.
Sure.
Thanks.
Well, I was thinking back on kind of the history of this, and we applied for the TAP grant and the NYSERDA grant at around the same time, and kind of thought both of them were long shots, and were rather surprised when we got both of them in 1 year. And we've been moving forward swiftly on the TAP grant, and are now have approval from DOT to move forward with design work and then on to construction. The NYSERDA grant has been a lot more difficult to try to pin down. And where we're at right now is we're thinking that we might want to not accept
Decline
that
it,
grant, to
yeah.
decline that grant. Because the original idea of that grant was focused on the area around Route 9, around Pine Woods Road, which at the time, 2 years ago or so, when we applied, was there was kind of a big property there that nothing seemed to be going on with. And so the idea of the grant was to try to, make it easier to redevelop that part of town by doing some of the pre-work in advance, some of the design of potentially a new crossroad, design of wastewater infrastructure. So the grant seemed like a great idea, but then as we started discussing it with NYSERDA, and we've had a number of discussions with them, they kind of had a different idea than we did about what was going to come out of it. They really wanted to be focused on energy efficiency. They wanted us to actually change the zoning. They wanted us to do some things we weren't really planning on. And the other issue is that we would need to put in about $50,000 of match towards the project, which, as I said, at the time, we were applying for a couple different things, and but now we've kind of put all of our resources that we've gotten from other sources into the TAP grant, so we're in a position where we need to come up with about $40,000 or $50,000 of match.
57, I think it
And
was.
with the budget as tight as it is, that doesn't seem like something the town probably wants to put in right now. But then the good news is that property has the major property there where the Amish market is, has recently sold. And I don't know what you want to share, but I mean, we're hearing that the people who bought it may want to move forward with bringing some stores in and redeveloping that site. So we're thinking that if we were to go forward with this NYSERDA project and go through this whole public planning process, it could potentially slow down that redevelopment. So it might just really, the timing, now that we're at this point and things have kind of changed, the timing doesn't seem so great to undertake that project. So I hate to turn back a grant that we got, but we have to be practical about how we want to use our own resources as well, so.
Well, I think that's a very good synopsis, and yeah, it was kind of a game changer when we heard that the property has turned over and that they are developing a plan. And NYSERDA, as Emily mentioned, when we met with them, they had very specific tasks that we had to perform to be able to meet the goals of the grant. And as Emily mentioned, one of them was adopting zoning that would be with the focus of high energy efficiency. And, we had concerns about what that would actually do to an application when it was in the process of moving through the planning board. And the other thing is that it was a grant that would be very similar in structure to the local government efficiency grant that we received to dissolve the water districts. And it was extremely time-consuming and public and very highly involved. A lot of people, as you know, Ken, you were part of that, and Dave. And so, when we weighed all these factors, in addition to the money that we would need from our fund balance, which we're concerned about depleting in any way, it just didn't seem to really make sense for us to go forward. So, Emily and I have talked about it a lot, and just what should be the strategy. So we wanted, before we made any decisions, or to get your input.
I just wanted to add that we actually don't have we still don't have a contract from NYSERDA to even sign. So we're not under any contract for this. And so if we want to decline it, now is the time before we sign.
How much was the grant for? Sorry.
It's about 140,000, I think, for the 25% match.
Okay.
And, I went and shopped it around, looked to see if I could get any takers on providing the match. I went to the IDA, I went to the chamber, I went to, some other entities and said, look, this is, where we are, this is the part that we're willing to do, is there a possibility that you would be willing to contribute to this match? And that just didn't really happen. So that was, that is one of the factors that went into it. And I think just to kind of go over again what it was for, it ultimately would be for streetscape design and a sewer study and some, the engineering for the Route 9's pedestrian improvements, right? And the zoning part was interesting too, because, that would be a factor in how, how difficult it would be to redevelop that site if you adopted a lot of LEED type of certification requirements, so.
Which is really not what we applied for.
No. Well, and what we applied for really got cut out, right? We wanted to do a general environmental impact statement.
Yeah.
And what was the rationale why they cut that out?
They wanted something that was a little bit more concrete. They wanted us to be able to say that after this project is done, we'll have something that they wanted actually to see something built to their standards out of this project, which is really not something that we can promise.
Right.
So I guess my concern right now is that, that we might end up kind of tripping over each other if to do something to try to make an area more attractive is one thing, but when someone's ready to go with that area,
Right.
you kind of don't want to get
I'm going to
away.
punt this into your corner. I mean, you
Yeah.
have been the queen of getting the grants, and you know the ins and outs
Grant
more than any of us sitting at this dais. So I will go on your recommendation, Dr. Counsel.
I would, go on.
Was Pinewoods one of the roads that the DOT is gonna?
Pinewoods
Okay.
is
Okay.
one of the roads that, at the intersection, that is scheduled for, I think, 2017, was it?
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that intersection. But it's a signal, it's part of their signal
Okay.
package, which we aren't exactly clear on what DOT plans to do.
Maybe it's better to wait then and see what they do.
Yeah, yeah. And then that's a good point, Hannah, because, this, plan that was emerging or that we were discussing had the aspect of possibly creating a new intersection at Cromwell and to the east, which that has a major impact on DOT because they are pretty adamant about the distance required between lights, and they're not very flexible on that. So that might have been a complexity but that is partly what the study would have done, right? It would have designed that along with DOT. But it's a good point that they have a plan that's imminent. Well, if 2017 is imminent, as opposed to a plan that we could be going out, 15, 20 years, where it seems like we actually have something that might be happening quickly or fairly soon.
Yeah, I would go along with Kenny's suggestion that we leave it to the grant writers on the board. It sounds very confusing if they start throwing all kinds of restrictions. The last thing I want to see is a lot of restrictions if that property can be developed, because I get nothing but complaints about, why are they empty, So anything we can do to encourage business there should be taken seriously. And if it's going to cost us 50 to get 150, or
Yeah.
go with you guys.
You have any input?
No, I
Counsel?
fully agree with that.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so if no one has any further comments on that, we'll move on to the public comment on the resolutions only. Would anyone from the public like to come on up and state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes? No? Okay. Moving on then.
Are we doing the other one at the end?
We could, yeah, unless you want to do it now. Okay, we could do, if you have a public comment and any item of town business, please come on up now.
Oh, here we go.
Hi.
I just wanted to share some information. I know that GREENTREE was on the agenda, but I wanted to approach it from a different aspect, and that is from the garage that is going to be demolished once you take over. And going through the Town of Hyde Park Code, the Chapter 4:9, unsafe buildings, is so generic that knowing that other towns have actually gone through the process of condemning buildings, that there are some really great sites that have been developed and codes that have been put in, like Yorktown. At this point, anybody looking at the code, looking at a building that has been abandoned, it's not so much foreclosures, because foreclosures have a bank. But once you have paid off your mortgage, if you have a damaged building, you're leaving it. You might be out of state. It is becoming vacant, and the longer it remains vacant, the greater possibility that it is losing integrity and it's becoming unsafe. And these are right within neighborhoods. Yorktown, for example, has really gone through and has really gone from a generic description of what an unsafe building is, and it has given some really great parameters that helps the public decide on whether or not they should bring this to your attention. But it also leads into a greater ability to get into the steps necessary if the town decides to demolish a building. For example, Yorktown, what is an unsafe building? Its defects shall be deemed. Those with interior walls or other vertical structure members list, lean, or buckle to such an extent that a plumb line passing through the center of gravity falls outside the middle third of the base. Those which, exclusive of the foundation, show 33% or more of damage or deterioration of the supporting member or members, or 50% damage or deterioration of the non-supporting enclosing or outside walls or covering. There are some really great town codes that have really gone the step. And I think that would be something that would be of great benefit to a number of people in town. There are people that I've talked to that the buildings are vacant, and yet the outside structures, attached porches, have crumbled down to the ground. There's a building that's been left behind that has serious fire. So, how does the public go about notifying the town? There's no information on that. Who to contact? There's no sense of an inventory that is made. That's very important for firemen. if one of these structures starts on fire, is there anything that has been inventoried that allows the firemen to know not to go in, that this structure is unsafe, that this structure is unsafe? So from an emergency, it's very important that these buildings be inventoried and decisions be made. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would anyone else like to come on up? Okay, so shall we move on to the
I
resolutions?
just want to make sure the public knows that if there are unsafe buildings, they can contact the building department. We do that regularly, and they respond and take care of those issues, so, yeah.
There's a New York State code for unsafe buildings, which almost every municipality has adopted,
Right.
including ours.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Resolution 1051 of 2015, appointment of part-time municipal secretary in the building department.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 105-2 of 2015, a resolution authorizing the Town Media Committee to solicit proposals for the purchase of replacement cameras for televising Channel 22.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye. For anyone who's watching tonight, I know this is a long overdue purchase, and I'm really glad that we're getting it
Yeah,
done.
and the-
Because I know
Yes.
it's, when you see different angles, the picture is all different, and these cameras are much needed.
Yep. And we're using BidNet for the first time, which is, we're really glad that we worked through that. Thank you, Donna, for doing that. Yeah, so I really, it's going to expand the number of vendors who get the inquiry, so
Great.
that's good.
Resolution 105-3 of 2015, resolution scheduling special meetings of the Town of Hyde Park Town Board for October 13th, 2015, and October 26th of 2015 for the 2016 preliminary budget.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 10-5-4 of 2015, resolution approving budget revisions to the Town of Hyde Park for the period of September 2015, budget revision number 2015-09.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
We're okay with this as amended, Donna?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Resolution 1055 of 2015, resolution authorizing the town clerk to solicit bids for the 2016 highway materials and services.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 105-6 of 2015, resolution authorizing the attorney to the town to execute consent judgments for Creek Park and Porter Space, Inc. tax search proceedings.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Did you want to say anything
No,
about those? No?
we're
Okay,
pleased
yeah.
with the settlement.
I think they were good
Our
settlements.
ongoing effort to try to resolve these cases expeditiously so they don't wind up costing the town lots of money.
Right.
And we did achieve a waiver of the refund of the tax for the town, so we're satisfied with the
Yeah. Okay.
resolution.
Well done.
Resolution 105-7 of 2015, resolution authorizing the zoning administrator, Kathleen Moss, to carry over accrued vacation time.
And second, and partly this is due to our planning board secretary has been out with, she had back surgery, so if she happens to be watching, we wish you well, Donna, we miss you. And so they're really working to cover for Donna so that we don't actually incur any additional expense. So Tad is postponing a vacation to do that, so that's why we have additional carryover.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the last one, Resolution 10-5-8 of 2015, resolution adopting a local law to override the tax levy limit for fiscal year 2016 pursuant to General Municipal Law, S. Section 3-C, as local law number 3 of the year 2015.
And I believe this one we should have a roll call, so Madam Clerk?
Just need a second.
Oh, sorry, a second?
Second.
And Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilwoman Barons. Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
And I'm sure we're going to be combing through looking for places we can
I
cut
hope,
that.
yeah, please do.
budget
Please
back.
find them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
No problem.
Any
No
questions or anything? Okay, so can I have a motion to go ahead and close the meeting?
Make a motion.
And second?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I didn't beat Emily's record. She always gets the
She's good.
20-minute meetings.
She has a 3-minute one.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's good.
she's got the record.
You always leave easy ones for